How to rank e-commerce products. Ranking a website with multiple SKUs, brought to you by the Digital Marketing Podcast.
Hello everyone. Hi Alex. How are you today?
I am good. How about you?
Very good. It's Friday, so I cannot complain. I cannot complain at all. Today I'm very happy we're discussing a topic that I see more and more becoming very relevant when we work with our clients, which is like we have an e-commerce store, we have a lot of products. How do I rank these products? Do I need to choose some products to rank? So I thought it was worth an episode to see how we can help people. But to get started with that, Alex, me personally, like whenever I work with a client, particularly if they're in e-commerce, I ask them to see a rank of their products in order of sales volume, because I want to make sure that first of all, I know the products that are best sellers, but I also want to know the up and coming products and products that I feel could be successful for a brand. Why? Because most likely, while we can do on-page SEO for every single product, when it comes to link building and when it comes to specific decisions of what to push more, you need to kind of make dollar decisions, right? How do you approach that topic? Like, do you have a similar approach? Do you do something differently?
I mean, it's quite scientific. I mean, partly it's pretty scientific. I mean, we're sort of getting into the realm of SEO, and again, and I mean, as one should sort of really start taking when you start sort of going about this, especially with the multiple SKUs but also multiple different variations of products and product categories. It's to start off with a clear keyword research. Also going sort of through your competitors, to really start narrowing in and honing in on relevant keywords that you should start ranking for, and that are sort of closely tied to these products. And I think often, also when you start looking at this, but also when people start looking at like product specific items, they're either considering it or they're in an acquisition stage, and therefore also the sort of the how you mix up your wordings in terms of keywords and in terms of ranking, because you want to appear on the right type of search queries and where people have the accurate intent.
Yeah, and I feel like though, let's say you have 1,000 products on your store, because some stores do. In that case, like it probably requires almost like a very analytical approach, almost like an approach where you do things at scale and then you customize approach for maybe 10% of the product, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to product ranking, what I found out to be one of the most relevant things is literally the keywords you choose, right? Like the kind of keyword you decide to choose. But that becomes a little bit tough, right? Because whenever you work on a service business, you do keyword research, and you can do keyword research pretty much monthly, right? When it comes to e-commerce, that becomes a little bit more of a task, because now you need to do maybe 20 keyword researches. So it becomes a little bit more of a time-consuming effort. What personally I think has worked for me is to potentially start right off the bat with longer tail keywords. I just feel that going for the more competitive terms, short tail keywords, is more of an undertaking, particularly when you have a lot of products, and you might be more successful going long tail on a larger scale rather than short tail, because that's basically gonna be very hard to maintain and optimize, right?
But I mean, I think yet still today, I think not to sort of miss that point. Google has, based on sort of the architecture of like a website, you often have a sort of homepage, product category, and then you have product. Often Google still ranks much higher and sort of indexes the category, the product category. And then it's very before they actually will go down on product level. Um, and I think it's also it's key to really clearly understand this. And you can do product category and then you can do product subcategory, but then also how the user experience once you land there um, makes that sort of journey smooth. So it is a proper e-com experience that are also focused and honed in uh, on most likely what type of search query you came from. So now we're starting to talk a bit personalization and sort of improving um, again the user experience, because that will sort of ensure that you will stay longer, you'll consider more products, and may not the first time um, buy something, but you might actually add to basket.
No, that makes sense. And I mean, like, one other thing that personally, like, I find very interesting is that most of these businesses, they initially do a bad job at selecting the right keywords for the URL. Like, they usually keep the URLs that their e-commerce platforms assign to the product without realizing the importance of actually using the proper keywords in the URL itself. And usually, what happens when we find ourselves in this situation is that those URLs have been used left and right on articles, backlinks, etc. And then it comes the day when an SEO expert might come and say, you know what, you need to change the URL of 90% of your products. And that could be a very interesting challenge because everything can go wrong with that. Meaning that, are you going to do redirects? Are you going, how are you even approaching that? But it's like unfathomable not to use the URL for those kind of tasks. It's going to bring a lot of benefits. In your experience, Alex, what is the best way to limit the drama coming from such an undertaking? Because let's be honest, it's an undertaking that probably every e-commerce you work with, they ended up needing. So how would you do that in a way that is not gonna literally kill the rankability of the business?
Um, I mean, that's where that's where one needs to always think smart and always inform Google just in terms of each individual step that you're doing. Um,
Okay.
and that's to really showcase. I mean, if you're moving something or being re-indexed for something, meaning you might create a new landing page or a product page because you're trying to recalibrate for a different type of product, but you might have some already sort of accumulated sort of link value or link juice, meaning you are indexed by Google and other search engines. Um, you will do you will do a 301 or you're giving a status code to Google to show that this website has moved or this landing page has moved permanently. But you can find the new one here. Um, and I mean, you need to do this. I mean, I've worked with clients, and I've worked within organizations where I've been having very helpful people in the development department. That as they when they put something new up, they just delete the old without thinking about the ramifications of or the consequences of that. And that could end up being extremely costly. And this happened to one of our clients who didn't they had a service provider that helped them with doing a new website with new URLs, and
Interesting.
but they didn't do a proper sort of 301. So this website had long history, was extremely successful organically, and but then after this not very good migration, and they lost about 50% of all their traffic.
But Alex, for this kind of migrations, right? For those out there that might be considering that, how do you know if your SEO provider is doing it correctly? As in, is there any preparation work they can show? Is there anything in the mix there that makes you feel confident that what they're doing is the right process? Like, how do you spot that?
I mean, it's there are almost like a three-step rocket that one should undertake if you work with a good professional SEO individual agency, you name it.
Okay.
um, but they can do a so-called pre-audit or pre-migration audit, where there's also a copy of everything. So, because what link juice is also defined based on direct links, so third-party links to you, but then also internal links that might sort of disappear. Um, so you want to sort of have a memory bank of all that, just in case. Just in case you can roll it back. Um, but then you also do the preparation based on a 301 is almost like a redirect, again, telling Google this page doesn't exist, but it has moved over here. Go and index this page instead. um, and one should almost try to get as close to the sort of content or topic that the old URL was about, that you're sending it to, or closer to the root. And so, yes, there are definitely methodologies, and it should almost be prepared like this. Um, and then post mortem, so post a migration or post changes, and one should always double check. Um, and has all the backlinks come with, so the external links. Um, have I not done redirects on upon a redirect? You create a redirect loop, because often happens is that someone that has done the 301. I know now we're getting very technical. I hope you guys don't find it super boring. But basically, you create a loop because you're redirecting to a redirect page,
Interesting.
and
Yeah.
and if that happens, Google will end up never indexing you because they end up in this loop, and eventually you will have lost that position too.
But Alex, we always wonder, right? Like, because I'm like, we can literally in 2024, we can launch a rocket to space and land it back vertical on Earth. We can literally do that. Why isn't there an app or a service or a plugin, call it anywhere you want, that every time you change a URL, let's say SKU number 12345, let's say 12345, the SKU is the SKU. Let's say I go in Shopify or in your favorite platform and I change that URL because I'm not an SEO expert. Why don't they have a software that anytime you change a URL in the backend, it automatically creates a redirect for you? Like, I feel like it's such an obvious tool and we don't have it, but we can land a rocket vertically. Is there any specific reason in your opinion as to that?
I mean, it's a good. I mean, you're obviously always business savvy. It's a great business opportunity. So far, I haven't come across anything such as that. Um, I think that a lot of the tools, at least today, they do half of the work. But I think for those that might have dipped their toes in sort of the pool of SEO, um, or are experienced or may not have any experience in it, and often SEO is still a topic where you piece your information together. There's not one tool that will give you all the entire truth. And we work with about 6 different tools today to sort of give our clients as full picture as possible. Uh, so it's, but at the same time, it it shouldn't be rocket science. And in the end of the day, a lot of this stuff is can actually be done very nicely and neatly and easily in a 301 in a Google spreadsheet for that matter.
No, that I agree. I just feel like, at least based on my experience, I do a lot of PPC, right? You're familiar with my work. And I would say I've been doing this work 16 years on average. I hear from 3 clients per year telling me that they updated their site, their links are broken, it's a mess. Well, and nobody came up with a solution where it automatically does that. It just shocks me, like what,
I
like
think like the closest to solution that at least sort of pinpoints how Google sees it, because it basically mimics the Google bot. It's a tool called Screaming Frog.
okay,
So I mean, it's for free. If you have a small website, you can use it for up to 500 landing pages, and it will literally just pinpoint all the specific all your landing pages. They will also pinpoint things that are wrong with them according to best practice and according to recommendation. So in this particular case, if you've done a redirect in the wrongful way, it will most likely become a status code 404. This page doesn't exist. And you don't like those, because if you have too many 404s, Google will sort of flag your website as a bit patchy and not that really up to speed. But it points that out. I mean, images, for example, is also like an e-com, at least a big thing that people are using. But depending on how how should I say, how much design might have been involved in the process, you might actually sit and have uploaded non-compressed images that are super high. They look really nice. You can use them sort of on like on like a 50-inch screen, and they will still look awesome, but it
yeah,
will
but
slow down your website loading
you
time
probably
massively.
you probably need to load the website when you start listening to our episode, and by the time we are done, you should be able to navigate it, right?
Something like that. But yeah, I mean, Screaming Frog is, I think, by far the best tool that gives that type of insight. But I think that you need someone to be able to help you to navigate what all this means,
Of course, because they have
and
a lot
how
of
to
weird
act on it
text that
and
you
what
don't
to
know.
prioritize.
But Alex, coming back to images, right? We talked about keyword research, and this you mentioned the word image, and image makes us think of ALT tags. Now, ALT tags makes me think of file name of the images, and everybody there that tells us that they named the files of the images with keywords, it's either lying or it doesn't manage an e-commerce store. How important it is not only to have the ALT images, of course, that's for somebody doing SEO, it's important. For those of you that guys don't know what an ALT tag is, whenever you upload an image, Google can raw read that image. So they use an ALT tag in the backend to figure out what that image is about. And you choose what to put there, usually keywords. But there is also the file name, right? How important is having a proper file name for your images?
I mean, I think if you're undergoing sort of the steps of optimizing your website, you're doing keyword research, you're creating a structure to your website, everything from having the right slug to having the accurate title tag to meta tags to having like a proper H1, H2, like an appropriate structure, setting yourself up to drive as much traffic as possible based on the keywords that you might have chosen. And you just increase your likeliness of being found, not directly in the Google sort of text search, but among the images.
Which is a very important nowadays because a lot of people Google by images too, right?
Exactly. And I think, even more nowadays, I think, I mean, maybe some of you guys read it today, but that ChatGPT is launching their own search engine soon. And therefore they will also, based on quality, most likely also index good websites and find and get results. And if you do things right here, you might be able to drive direct traffic from there. I mean, I saw like someone that did a hack. I mean, there's this US company called Perplexity, um, that is almost like a chat GPT, but they've taken Claude and a couple of additionals, and basically they made Google search without any ads, and a lot, I guess, simplistic. It's very popular, but because their results were so nice and so refined, Google started indexing them.
Interesting.
So all of a sudden, Google drove traffic to probably one of their biggest
Competitive.
competitors, of Gemini.
That's funny.
Again, like if you do SEO, if you understand it correctly, and you need to dare to experiment as well to see what works and what doesn't work. Um,
And
there are amazing opportunities.
and I would like to share a strategy. This is an SEO strategy, actually. Believe it or not, sometimes I create SEO strategies that it worked extremely well for one of our clients using images for SEO. Because this guy looked at a competitor, there was this very nice wooden table. They were getting a lot of sales for. And they had a comparable product. It looked really almost like the same because suppliers in that world are pretty much the same. Not they don't build their own furniture. And he was like, how can I increase visibility for my product? So I received the catalog on, and all of a sudden I saw the pictures that they were using for that table. We kind of matched the pictures online. So I asked him to do a photo shoot. I told him, put the table exactly in the same angle, exactly the same, in a nice living room. It's like, why? Because if I like a table, and the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take a photo of it and do a reverse image search to find the best price. Guess what? Now it's the number one. When you take a photo of that table, it shows up with this website right there. And people are not taking advantage of that. It's almost like creating a lookalike of the same product by making sure that when they take a photo of a product, your product pops up. And that has worked great. Of course, you cannot do it for every product because it would take forever. But my thought is when you create a website or when you optimize your website, you look at the competitors to figure out who is doing something better and to try to get something even better created. Now, for images, we're getting there, right?
But I mean, I think you're onto it, and I think like you're saying that it will take forever, but if you think on how much how easy it is to spend money on paid
Oh, yeah.
to sort of to push your e-com, there is a certain break point where sort of your return of ad spend or whatever model you might have. I mean, e-com would be ROAS, but where you won't be able to spend more because it will cost you more to gain more clients than you would make.
Yeah.
Therefore, having a solid balance and a proper investment, see SEO as an investment to be able to counteract your paid. Because often as well, at least what I've noticed when looking at the differences between customers, SEO customers spend more.
Yeah.
So therefore, you also actually get like a nominal real value that is higher. So it should be a higher prio than I think it is.
That's
And
interesting. Yeah. No, absolutely. And so, summarizing, Alex, right? There are a lot of things that we cover. So, the first thing is there is a keyword research, prioritize top sellers and up and coming, right? As an FYI, you guys can use free tools like Google Trends, trends.google.com, to really figure out if there is a rise in demand, or also to study seasonality of a certain product to know what you want to focus on. In addition to that, we talked about URLs, how it is important to have keyword enriched URLs that still make sense, but they are extremely important. We talked about title tag, description tags. We talked about ALT tags. We talked about how you can reverse search images nowadays. So you need to also look at that parameter. And we talked about file names. But I guess there is one more piece of things, the content we need to discuss.
I mean, I think like the one thing I mean, before we even get there, because I know you have a nice maybe caveat. It looks like
Yes.
it. Your smile looks like it. And it's actually the length of the copy that you actually do right.
Oh, absolutely. Right.
There's a lot of e-com websites that have their product descriptions that are, 6 bullets. I mean, yes, it tells the story about the product, but no one will actually do the searches for these bullets. So it looks awesome once people eventually find you, if they ever find you. Or if you run an e-com website and you have this phenomenon, this might be one of the reasons why you don't actually have any organic traffic to your website.
That's actually the topic I wanted to ask you about because you see, we have done way too many podcasts together, I think.
No, but this is good now.
Yeah, the reason why I wanted to ask that is because people focus so much about all of this and they believe their product is the best. Then you get to the product pages, there are 6 bullets and they're asking for $100. Now, have they ever hired an SEO company by just reading 6 bullets about the company? No, right? Have you ever hired a plumber by just reading that they are a plumber? Obviously not. Have you ever gone to, I don't know, a restaurant where they have no reviews? Most likely not. So content is extremely important also to be able to convert the customer. And 6 bullets will never do it. I remember a story of one of my first clients where I was like, I really think you need to hire a developer because I know that the templates look great, but I think you need to add a section below the product where you go more in depth about the product. He was like, that's gonna cost me $500 to do that. And I was like, it's gonna cost you $3,000 and no sales not to do that because people are not stupid. They want to know why you're better than the competitors. And exactly that. This is SEO content, of course, but it is
No,
also.
I mean, no. I mean, now we're starting to actually reach the point where, in the latest update of Google, where helpful content, authentic content, and trustworthy content is also key. And so, therefore, at least on product pages, if you can have testimonials, if you can really say, have other people vouching for this particular product, it's we're going even more granular like that. And then because of Google's way of borrowing content to make it easier for the browsers, you will. I saw the other day from Spark Toro, for those that follow that, but that I think out of each 100 searches, only 40% lead to a click.
Interesting.
The rest are browsers that are finding all their information with the help of the various question areas and where you get quick answers. Therefore, also from an SEO point of view, especially if you want to be considered, schema.org, so structuring your data appropriately, is also key in today's sort of SEO world.
No, I agree. And as what I can tell e-commerce business owners or managers, the moment you do a great work on an SEO standpoint, you are finally ready to sell your product on Amazon. Because then you know what it will take. Because Amazon, it's all SEO. Of course, you can do promotions, but reviews count a lot. Product description count a lot. Images count a lot. So it really is a very good training ground. But if you want to do it in-house, let's say you don't have the budget to hire somebody, I always recommend people at least find somebody that can be almost like a mentor. They can give you the best step-to-step guide not to fall into the early mistakes that will take so much time to fix once you are like growing and scaling up.
No, I think like it's you're onto it. I think like setting some sort of SEO foundation, and again, depending on the budget that you might have available, you might not have the funds to continue sort of that journey, but at least to tick those boxes. Because SEO, I mean, I think it's easy to forget that it's pretty big. You have a technical side, which is can be sort of scary and detrimental, and no one really understands what is what. Um, but then you have on page, so how you've actually structured your website, how you've written your content, how you internally linked, and then you have backlinks. And you have good backlinks, and then you have bad backlinks.
There is also
Please
the
have
magic SEO, Alex.
what?
There is also the magic SEO, because sometimes clients contact us and they say, I want to start SEO and get 10 clients in month one. That's called magic SEO, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's almost like someone contacting in like from a paid point of view. It's like, yeah, no, I want ROAS 10.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like calling a plumber and asking to fix over the phone.
Yeah, exactly. So no, you can't guarantee stuff, because you always one important aspect is that you're always up against others that might be working harder than you on their SEO.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. And I guess, Alex, the next topic we should probably cover is branding, because that's something that I believe it, although branding doesn't help with SEO, branding helps with taking decisions about what you're reading about the firm.
I mean, I've been a slow converter towards that branding is key, and it's very important in how you position yourself. And I think, unfortunately, branding has been sort of been put head to toe with acquisition marketing or marketing in general, and therefore also being measured in similar senses, and which they shouldn't, because marketing is clearly branding. One needs to see long term.
Yeah, no, but also honestly, Alex, like I feel sometimes, and that's mostly something that happens to business owners, to be honest, is that they forget that you're not the only company in town, right? And there are some services where you want to make sure you're choosing the best, and the fact that you're the best is not defined by the fact that you have fake Google reviews, fake reviews on your site, or the fact that you tell on your website that you are the best. Best is defined by what are people not telling about you, and have people heard about you. That's what it comes down to. So sometimes people forget that branding might look like your worst acquisition channel, but let me tell you, that's your best acquisition channel. Because when they say, I've heard about you, you got 80% of the sale done.
Yep.
And
No, I
people,
mean, and that's what you want. I mean, all about sales is to reduce friction.
yeah, I remember I was at the car mechanic 2 months ago, local to me, right? And this car mechanic was telling me about this marketing, because it came in the conversation that I do marketing. It's like, oh, by the way, where do you work? And I was like, oh, my company, Zebra Advertisement. I've heard about you because somebody told me that you guys do a good work. And then I knew that if I ever wanted to work with that mechanic, the deal was sealed. I didn't want to work with him because I didn't want to take advantage of him. We just need a little bit of advice. But that's exactly what branding does. It closes deals for you. So we should be doing an episode about that in the near future. But Alex, I don't have any more topics to cover. We did cover a lot of good content today. Is there anything else you would like to add in today's episode?
I mean, I think like maybe not to today's episode, but I think like it is very much. No, I think for those that want to sort of continue this conversation, I mean, please do reach out, or ask questions directly in the thread, and if you want resources or have questions about what tools that could be used, they're quite a bunch out there. And when you're trying to do a search for them, you'll be hit by a lot of variations. So if you want sort of a top list or recommendations, an audit, you name it, on sort of where you are, just in terms of the website, and we can happily help with that. Um, or how maybe your app campaigns, because we haven't really spoken about apps, but how you do app store optimization and sort of how to go about that.
Yeah, any
That's
comments you guys
100%.
have? We are very active on LinkedIn. Feel free to comment and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. In the meantime, thank you so much, everybody, for joining. Alex, thank you again. We are going to publish our next dates in a few days up here. So if you guys want to keep following us, we are very happy to be part of your monthly routine. Thank you so much, Alex. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you. Have a lovely day and a lovely weekend when it kicks in.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.